After mocking a black waitress for speaking Italian, she faced life-changing consequences in 10. Lucy stood in the midst of the dinner rush at Villa Italia, her vibrant smile brightening the lively atmosphere. The scent of garlic and fresh bread filled the air as the clinking of glasses harmonized with laughter. At just 24, Lucy was the backbone for her single mother and 3 younger siblings, and her dreams of opening her own business seemed just within reach until the moment she approached a table filled with well-dressed patrons who saw her not as a determined young woman, but as just another punchline. Buonasera. She greeted them in Italian, her grandmother's voice echoing in her mind. But their laughter pierced her heart. "Why are you speaking that weird language?" one sneered. The others snickered, and Lucy felt her cheeks flush, not from embarrassment but from the weight of their mockery. It was like a knife, cutting through her pride, leaving behind a raw wound of shame that throbbed through her entire being. As they left, their laughter lingered, echoing off the restaurant walls, robbing her of the confidence that had defined her. It sparked a firestorm and the community conversations turned heated and divisive. Lucy was left grappling with those painful words, her heart heavy with anger and frustration. They didn't just mock her, they challenged her identity, her heritage, and her dreams. Days passed, and Lucy felt the weight of shame settle in her chest. But then something wonderful happened. Her younger sister, Tessa, sat beside her while they crafted a poster for the community fair. "You're the best sister ever, Lucy. Don't let them get to you." Tessa's words were like a bomb, warming the ache in Lucy's heart. The unwavering support from her family fueled her determination to rise above the hate, but the media, always hungry for sensational stories, twisted the narrative. Headlines screamed her name and twisted her tale, painting her as a victim, pushing communities further apart. The mockery didn't fade, it intensified, bringing Lucy and her neighborhood to a boiling point. It was in this storm that she met Joe, a retired veteran from the auto repair shop down the street. With his rugged face and wise eyes, he offered her not sympathy but strength. "You've got a fire in you, Lucy," he said one day, after she shared her longing for her business. "Don't let anyone douse it." His belief in her ignited a flicker of hope. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. But as Lucy began to pick up the pieces, the mockery turned into an uproar. People on both sides of the spectrum took to social media, spouting divisive ideas that cut through the very fabric of the community. Lucy felt the pressure mounting, and with it, the fear of inadequacy tugged at her heart. How could she reclaim her dignity amidst a chorus of judgment? As tensions grew, Lucy understood she stood at a crossroads. Would she let hate envelop her, or would she rise, turning her hurt into a beacon of strength? The community she loved so much had become a battlefield, yet maybe just maybe her journey could transcend this pain and light a path towards unity. A single question loomed over her: could she find a way to heal, and turn this hurt into resilience, inspiring others along the way? Lucy stared at the vibrant poster she and Tessa had created for the community fair. Bold colors and cheerful lettering screamed of hope and unity. But beneath that hopeful exterior, a storm raged inside her. With every share of the mocking video, every new headline that depicted her as a cautionary tale, she felt a piece of herself fracture. She spent sleepless nights wrestling with her identity, the definitions imposed upon her clashing with the woman she aspired to be. Then came the day of the fair. The sun shone down as families swarmed the park, laughter and chatter filling the air like a warm embrace. Lucy took a deep breath, steeling herself as she arrived at her booth. It was her chance to bring her culinary dreams to life, to prove that she was more than a target for ridicule. People began to gather, drawn in by the delicious array of traditional Italian dishes that filled her table. Pasta, fresh marinara sauce, and sausages grilled to perfection. Community members approached her, some with smiles, others with cautious glances. Lucy served with a determined smile, each plate filled healing this broken piece inside of her. She could feel strength pulsing through her veins, igniting the fire Joe had encouraged her to nurture. "Hey, aren't you the girl from the videos?" An older man lingered, his words grounded in curiosity more than disdain. There was a shimmer of empathy in his eyes as he leaned closer. "You shouldn't listen to what they say. Your food tells a story." Lucy felt warmth swell in her chest. She was not just the girl they mocked, she was a storyteller, through dishes rich with history. "Thank you," she replied, genuine appreciation flooding through. As the day wore on, the crowd swelled, laughter echoed louder, and the atmosphere vibrated with energy. It was a small victory, but each shared smile bolstered her spirits like a shield against their harsh words. She began to see the cracks in the judgmental walls that had been built around her. With every dish served, she saw people chatting, forming connections over flavors that melted barriers. However, as evening crept in, shadows loomed larger, reminding her of the anger beneath the surface that had yet to be addressed. Social media was alive with fervor. Posts flew in like arrows, both supporting and denouncing her. It was a battleground of opinions, reinforcing what she was fighting against. Questions hung in the air like thick smoke. Would they ever move past this together? By the time the lights twinkled on the fairground, Lucy realized she had the power to shift the narrative. She didn't just want to reclaim her dignity, she wanted to inspire those around her to stand up against mockery, too. A rallying cry formed in her heart as she caught a glimpse of Tessa, her young sister smiling, her heart untainted by hate. But how? Would she speak out? Could she organize a project, a communal feast, to bridge the divides that had been drawn? The weight of 100 questions bore down on her, but she knew the answer resided within her, waiting to be unleashed. Determined to act, she took a deep breath, sensing that tomorrow would be a turning point. Would she confront the pain head-on, or would the outrage fester unnoticed? As she closed her booth for the night, a flicker of determination ignited in her heart. What if she could be the voice of change, leading others to heal together? That risk seemed too tantalizing to ignore. But stepping into the spotlight might also invite more trouble. Would Lucy find the courage to speak out and embrace her truth? Would she transform her pain into a source of strength, inspiring others to do the same? The morning that followed the fair was painted in optimism, but the shadows of uncertainty still lingered. Lucy could feel the buzzing energy from the night before wrapping around her like a thick quilt. As sunlight streamed through the kitchen window, illuminating her culinary supplies laid out in neat rows, she wrestled with her resolve. Today was the day she would take a stand. She could envision it, a communal feast that would weave her community back together, proving that food had the power to unite. But how could she pull it off? The thought made her stomach twist with both excitement and fear. This wasn't just dinner, this was a message. Lucy grabbed her phone and began typing a message to her social media followers, hoping to ignite some enthusiasm. "Join me for a community feast. Let us celebrate our stories through food. Together, we can show the world that kindness feeds the heart." She hit post, her heart racing as she pictured it lighting up the screens of friends and neighbors. Within minutes, comments began pouring in. "Count me in. I love this idea. Can't wait to eat your pasta, Lucy." Her pulse quickened with each notification, each word a small step toward empowering herself and others, but amidst the excitement, the ugly reality of the past day pricked at her like a burr. The video was still circulating, with barbs of cruelty slicing through the positivity she was trying to create. It was like two separate worlds of light and darkness, warring for dominance inside her. As she prepared ingredients for the event, Lucy's thoughts spiraled. Would anyone come? Could she truly spark any change? The fear of ridicule nipped at her heels, and the memories of mocking laughter threatened to suffocate her enthusiasm. But then she remembered the warmth of the older man from the booth and Tessa's unwavering belief in her. They were the light that shattered the darkness, and in that moment, the decision solidified itself within her. The day of the feast arrived with a palpable electricity in the air. Lucy set up tables under the sprawling oak tree in the park, draping colorful cloths and arranging platters of aromatic dishes that filled the air with tempting scents. Spaghetti aglio e olio, vibrant caprese salad, and even a luscious tiramisu sparked excitement as onlookers began to gather. As she stood there, brimming with hope yet tinged with trepidation, Lucy saw familiar faces, arriving friends, neighbors, even those she had never expected to come. They brought their own dishes to share, uniting a mosaic of cultures, each plate a narrative soaked in tradition. As people mingled, Lucy took a deep breath and approached the small group collecting around her booth. "Thank you all for coming," she called out, her voice steadying as she spoke. "I wanted to create this feast to show that our differences can bring us together, not tear us apart." Her words floated on the breeze, and she felt that spark inside her once again. Conversation started bubbling up, laughter rang out, and suddenly it wasn't just about the food, it was about community and connection. Mouthfuls of pasta came with tales of heritage, while shared desserts offered slices of laughter. Yet, as Lucy stepped back to watch the scene unfold, lurking beneath the surface was the question waiting to be asked. Would her message resonate beyond this day? Could it impact how people saw her, and more broadly, how they saw one another? But the echo of social media abuse still throbbed in the corners of her mind, fame teetering on the edge of perspective. Lucy knew this was not the end, it was merely the start of something bigger. As night began to roll in and the sun dipped below the horizon, Lucy felt a tug at her heart. This was the community she longed for, a place where laughter drowned out the mocking whispers. But as she glanced at her phone, a chilling notification popped up. Another video had surfaced. What had they said this time? Would she be ready for whatever storm was coming next? With her heart pounding, Lucy braced herself for the reality waiting just around the corner. Lucy stared at her phone, her heart slipping into a cold pit of dread. The notification was unmistakable. The video had spread like wildfire, fueled by an unseen algorithm that thrived on the worst of society. It was a moment in time, an instance that had nothing to do with her. Yet it was now tied around her neck like an anchor. Her mind raced as she tried to comprehend its contents. "What fresh hell is this?" she whispered to no one but herself. The comments beneath the video swarmed like angry bees, each one more venomous than the last. She forced herself to take a deep breath, to focus on the laughter and chatter that surrounded her. Yet the warmth of the community was battling fiercely against the icy grip of online cruelty. A group of children raced past her, giggling, their sticky fingers clutching homemade lemon bars from a neighbor. Lucy watched as they dove into their own conversations, unaware of the turmoil that brewed just beyond the park. She wanted to join them, to relish in their unfiltered joy. Instead, fear gripped her. What if this torment spread to them? Tessa approached, her arms laden with a colorful array of treats. "Lucy!" she called out, offering a radiant smile. "You have to try these." She held out a piece of baklava, the golden honey glistening in the fading light. Lucy forced a grin but couldn't shake the nagging feeling gnawing at her heart. "Tessa, did you see?" But before she could finish, Tessa cut her off. "I saw the video," she said, her voice growing serious. "It's awful. But that's not who you are, Lucy. What you're building here, it's bigger than them." Lucy's heart swelled at Tessa's words, but doubt lingered like a shadow. What if everyone sees me for what they think I am? What if this feast isn't enough? "Listen," Tessa replied, her tone firm yet warm. "You're doing something amazing. And the people here see that. You're bringing us together. That matters." Lucy's eyes filled with gratitude. Tessa was right. This feast was her stand against the negativity, against the tide of shame and mockery. Fear was fierce, but vulnerability was her strength. As the evening deepened, the soft glow of fairy lights strung overhead twinkled in the darkening sky. Laughter echoed, stories flowed, and with each shared dish, barriers crumbled. Lucy felt the weight in her chest lighten. Maybe, just maybe, they could rise above the mockery. Yet, just as hope flickered to life, another notification chimed ominously from her phone. She glanced at the screen, mind racing, yet again this time, it was a reply from someone she didn't recognize. One single line that pierced through the joy and laughter surrounding her: "You think this changes anything? You're still a joke." Lucy's breath caught. The laughter faded into a haunting silence that echoed in her mind. All the good she felt now wavered, thread by thread, against this unwelcome reminder. She turned to see the community lost in their own delight, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of isolation creeping back. What if she couldn't find the strength to keep going? What if the next wave of hurt washed away everything she had built? Swallowing hard, Lucy looked around at her friends, the vibrant energy still bustling around her. For every hateful comment, there were a dozen genuine smiles shared here tonight. But just as she decided to speak up, to rally everyone against the negativity, her phone buzzed again. With every ounce of courage she had left, she opened the notification, hoping for a glimmer of support, but instead found a new video thumbnail. This one bore her name, glaring in bold letters against the dark backdrop. What had they said this time? Was this the storm she had feared, or was it just another test of her resolve? "Here goes nothing," she whispered to herself as she prepared to face the truth. Lucy's fingers trembled as she tapped the thumbnail. Her heart raced, anticipation mingling with dread. The screen flickered to life, revealing an array of video clips, time-stamped, each seemingly portraying her in uncomfortable ways. She felt the familiar heat of shame rushing to her cheeks as chills raced down her spine. The first video played, featuring a group of people laughing as they edited clips of her, twisting her words and actions into something ugly and cruel. Each reaction felt like ice against her skin, cruelty masked as humor. Her heart pounded as she watched it unfold, feeling every moment transmuted from innocent to grotesque. It was a wrinkle in reality that she had not chosen, seeping into the fabric of her life. "What am I even watching?" she gasped, barely believing her eyes. She could hardly recall the moments they were dissecting, but the way they had been manipulated stung. What had she done to deserve this? As the laughter echoed from the speakers, Lucy felt the wind knocked out of her, anger momentarily cutting through the fear. Who were they to judge her? The beauty of the community she was trying to build felt threatened once more, and her heart ached to recall the warmth she had felt just minutes ago. "Tessa!" Lucy called, her voice cutting through the noise around her, but it was lost in the swell of laughter and joy. Tessa was chatting nearby, blissfully unaware of the storm brewing within Lucy. The disconnect tugged at Lucy's insides like a live wire. With no one to lean on, she stood frozen, staring at her screen as the video continued. Each click of another clip only deepened the sting. It wasn't just cruel, it was systematic. Her mind flashed back to the moments she had shared with them, the laughter, the joy, the idea that she was creating something beautiful. Now it felt tarnished, overshadowed by a mocking undercurrent that sought to erase her. Lucy felt the tears welling as the next clip rolled. The comments made her cringe, pulling her deepest insecurities to the surface. "She'll never be more than a joke. Can you believe she thought she could do something real?" It felt like each comment was a knife, cutting deeper and deeper. With trembling hands, she shut off the video and clutched her phone to her chest. A tidal wave of defeat washed over her. What if this was all there was to her now? A figure mocked, a name dragged through the mud? The laughter around her grew distant, the warmth that had filled her moments earlier began to chill. Lucy took a deep breath, warring with despair, and tried to find her footing again amidst the great weight of her thoughts. She needed to speak up, to somehow claw her way out of the pit, to bridge the gap between the joy around her and the pain hidden behind the screen. As she gathered her thoughts, she caught a glimpse of Tessa's radiant smile as she handed a plate of food to someone. The kindness radiating from Tessa ignited a spark of determination within Lucy. "No more hiding," she whispered. "No more letting them win." With resilience building, she stepped forward, ready to confront the fears pushing against her. Her voice caught in her throat, but she would find a way to speak out. She realized the nurturing environment she had cultivated might just have the power to fight back against the darkness that threatened to consume her, but just as she opened her mouth to address the crowd, another notification chimed. Another one, drawing her back into the chaos she had dared to escape. Just one more thing, she thought, dread mixing with determination swelling in her chest. What now? What would this new wave show? Whatever it is, I'm ready, she promised herself. And she gripped her phone tightly, unwilling to back down. Lucy's heart sank as she read the title, barely registering the words. After mocking a black waitress for speaking Italian, she faced life-changing consequences in 10. All the anger and fear she had just begun to work through came crashing back in waves, swirling the mix of shame and humiliation into a horrifying cocktail that she couldn't quite choke down. She pressed play before she could stop herself. The video loaded, and her pulse raced uncontrollably. The screen filled with a scene in a restaurant, her laughter ringing out like a bell through the dark, drowning out the waitress's soft voice, searching for understanding in the chaos of the moment. Lucy cringed. She felt the eyes of the world upon her as the waitress spoke Italian, and the camera zoomed in on Lucy's face, twisting her reaction into something unbearable. "I didn't mean it like that," Lucy shouted as if the screen could hear her. It felt as if the laughter she'd once found so infectious had turned on her, dragging her into the depths of despair. The comments started flooding in. What a joke. How does she expect to be taken seriously? They came like arrows, each one piercing deeper than the last. The waitress's face flickered across the screen again, hurt etched into her features as she served another table, oblivious to the growing storm. Lucy's finger hovered above the pause button, but she couldn't do it. It was like watching a train wreck, only it was her train wreck, and she wasn't sure if she should divert her gaze or dive deeper into the wreckage. Time faded as gossip and ridicule echoed in her mind, drowning out the voices of her friends still laughing in the background. What if everyone saw her this way now? What if Tessa saw this? The realization hit her with a sudden force that left her breathless. The warmth of community, the very essence she sought to uplift, was at risk of tearing apart under the weight of her missteps. "Lucy!" Tessa's voice broke through, bringing a spark of light back into her darkened thoughts. She turned just as Tessa approached, her expression filled with concern. "Are you okay? You don't look so good." Did she even know? Would Tessa judge her too? I'm fine." The words felt hollow, empty like the laughter that had surrounded her moments before. Tessa narrowed her eyes, not buying it. "Hey, we can talk about anything, you know that, right? You seem off." "Yeah, but, have you seen this?" Lucy thrust the phone into Tessa's hands. "I don't know how this happened." "I didn't mean." Tessa's brows furrowed as she watched the video, her face falling into a storm of emotions. When Tessa looked back at Lucy, her eyes burned with something fierce, and anger surged through Lucy's veins, mixing with the shame. "This isn't you." Lucy felt something rise in her chest and urged to fight back, to make it right. "But what do I even do? Everyone's going to think that I'm horrible." "Not if you speak up," Tessa said firmly, stepping closer, determination in her voice. "Own it. The people worth having around you will understand." But as Lucy looked around, all those faces blended into the same unforgiving crowd from the video. Laughter rippled through the air, a haunting reminder that the community she cherished stood at the edge of a cliff, ready to turn away. What if I stand up and it's not enough? Fear gripped her tightly, harder than ever. Tessa took her hands, grounding her. "You can't let fear decide your story for you, Lucy." Lucy bit her lip, her hands trembling in Tessa's grasp. The weight of her voice surged, hovering just beyond her reach. But as the video played on, another thought chimed in, pulling her attention again. What if she could confront this storm head-on? What if she spoke her truth, unfiltered and raw? With one last look, the video flickered to a close and a wave of realization hit. This wasn't just about her anymore. This was about standing against an injustice that reached beyond cracks in her own reflection. I think I want to talk." The room felt electric, thick with anticipation, and Lucy knew the moment had come when she could either sink into despair or rise to fight back. Could she truly confront the tide pushing against her? Could she rewrite this narrative before it enveloped her whole? A wave of silence swept across the crowd, all eyes turning toward her, waiting. The moment was here, and Lucy's heart raced. What would she say next? Lucy's throat tightened as she took a step forward, each heartbeat echoing louder in her ears. The crowd's stares felt like 1,000 spotlights blasting her with both heat and scrutiny. She could almost hear the whispers. Is she going to apologize? Does she think she can just talk her way out of this? Determination surged through her. This wasn't just a moment to defend herself, it was a chance to acknowledge the harm she'd caused. She began, her voice trembling slightly. "I know many of you have seen the video, and I want to be honest." Her words floated softly but carried the weight of truth she barely recognized. "What you saw wasn't just a joke gone wrong, it was a reflection of my ignorance. I thought I was funny. Who hasn't laughed at silly things, right? But this is different. This hurt someone. This hurt her." Silence gripped the room, and she could see the surprise in Tessa's eyes. "I want to say that I'm deeply sorry to the waitress, to all of you. I can't take back what I did, but I want to own it. I thought laughter united us, but I see now it can also divide." As she spoke, she could feel a shift in the air. Some faces softened, while others remained guarded. The transformation within her felt palpable. "I want to learn from this. I'm committed to understanding and healing because I know that's where real growth happens." The emotions inside her swirled, anger, shame, and hope tangled together. As she stood exposed before the crowd, Lucy noticed an older woman in the front row, a tear glimmering in her eye. Maybe this wasn't just about her redemption. Maybe, just maybe, it held the potential to spark a larger conversation, a dialogue about empathy, respect, and community. Tessa gave her a small, encouraging nod. "You're doing great," she whispered, her voice barely audible against the backdrop of silence. Feeling the warmth of support, Lucy pressed on. "I want to reach out to that waitress. I want to speak to her, to apologize. If you have any connections, please let me know." Her voice softened, weighted with sincerity. "To the people I hurt, I want to listen to your stories. I want to know how I can make this better." Slowly, as if the air had thickened with intention, murmurs began to float through the crowd. "It's good that she's taking responsibility. Maybe she really wants to change." The dialogue shifted subtly, and for the first time, Lucy felt realization wash over her. It wasn't about erasing the past but embracing it, learning from it and growing toward a brighter future. As the crowd began to shift restlessly, a wave of hope surged within her. Yet, as the applause started, it was overshadowed by the gnawing ache of doubt still lingering in her chest. But what if it's not enough? She thought, feeling the tumult inside her ebb and flow. "Lucy." Tessa's voice cut through, prompting her to turn. "This is only the beginning. The road ahead won't be easy, but you're not alone." Lucy took a deep breath, sensing the weight of her choice hanging before her. She was ready to fight for her newfound understanding, but could she truly ignite change in a world that thrived on misunderstanding? The energy in the room vibrated with potential as the crowd's reactions shifted from skepticism to engagement. Lucy looked at Tessa, then out into the sea of faces. Each singular gaze held a universe of stories, needs, and perspectives. And then, behind the murmurs, a voice called out. "Do you even know her name?" Every heart in the room seemed to stop. The question hung thick in the air, echoing beyond Lucy and sparking curiosity mixed with apprehension. Could she truly forge connections, or had she already missed the chance to make things right? The moment felt charged, like the calm before a storm. What would come next? Would the truth set her free, or entangle her deeper in the web of her mistakes? Lucy's heart raced. The weight of that question hung over her, heavier than before. A dozen thoughts collided in her mind. Did she know the waitress's name? No, she didn't. She only knew the superficial story, the one that had made it onto social media, spilling into every corner of her life like a dark cloud she couldn't escape. She took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. No, I don't, she admitted, her voice tight. I let myself get caught up in the moment, in the laughter. I forgot there was a person behind it all. A murmur rippled through the crowd, a mixture of disappointment and understanding. Their faces told her everything. Some still looked skeptical, while others seemed to realize that her journey was just beginning. Do you even care? The same voice fired back, more demanding now. A young man with determination in his eyes stepped forward. It's easy to stand up and say you're sorry. But do you really want to make things right? Lucy felt the air thicken again. Yes, she replied, fierce with conviction. I want to. I need to. I don't want to feel this way anymore. I'm learning that my actions impact lives, and I want to be better. The young man crossed his arms, his expression unreadable. Actions speak louder than words. How will you make sure this doesn't happen again? Tessa moved closer to Lucy. Lucy, you've got the right intentions. Share them. Lucy nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and strength. I want to start by organizing a gathering, a discussion about empathy and understanding within our community. I want to invite the very people I hurt to listen to their experiences. I want to be part of the solution. The crowd shifted again. Some people exchanged glances, considering her commitment, while others whispered doubts. But the older woman with the teary eyes spoke up once more. It's a start, dear. If you're really willing to show up and learn. Exactly, the young man pressed. But understand, this won't be easy. Simple words won't mend what you've broken. I know, she acknowledged, her voice steadier now. I know it will take time and real work. I will dedicate myself to it. Feeling the moment shift again, Lucy took a step forward, pulling in a deep breath. I will do whatever it takes. If I don't know her name, that's the first thing I want to change. I'll find her. I want to understand her pain, her story. A rumble of agreement emerged from the crowd mixed with uncertainty. They were watching her closely now, their expressions wavering between guardedness and curiosity. Okay, the young man relented. That's fine and all, but will you really follow through? Yes. Lucy replied, fueled by a newfound resolve. I will find the waitress and talk to her. It's time for real change. Not just words. She felt the energy in the room begin to shift yet again. Hope was alive, fragile but undeniable. Then show us, Lucy, the older woman said softly. Show us you mean it. Lucy faced the crowd, their eyes piercing but filled with potential. This was a moment to refocus. I will, and I won't give up. I'll keep everyone updated on my progress. This is just the beginning. As the murmurs of the crowd flowed, she could sense a tide turning, a mix of skepticism and support beginning to meld. Yet, she felt a pang of fear creep indoors again. Did she have what it took? What if she faltered? And somewhere in the back of her mind, a nagging thought persisted: would it even matter? The crowd began to disperse, and she could see Tessa moving toward her. Lucy, wait. Tessa looked into her eyes, radiating concern. You know this won't be easy. What if she doesn't want to hear you out? What will you do then? The weight of Tessa's question lingered, amplifying the uncertainty that had settled into Lucy's chest. She wished she had an answer. But as she stood amidst the fading crowd, one thing burned brightly within her: the need to try. The way ahead was unclear, but she felt a flicker of hope ignite in her heart. What awaited her on this journey, and could she find the strength to face it? Lucy's mind raced as she left the gathering, Tessa's words looping in her head. What if she didn't want to talk? The cool evening air brushed against her skin, grounding her in the moment, but the doubts swirled like leaves caught in a whirlwind. She glanced at the still bustling street filled with laughter and chatter. It felt surreal, like a world apart from the turmoil she was experiencing inside. "Lucy!" Tessa called out, jogging to catch up. "Is everything okay?" She hesitated, wanting to answer but unsure of what to say. I just need to figure out where to start." "You will," Tessa replied, reaching for Lucy's shoulder to stop her. "But remember, finding the waitress might be tougher than you think. You have to be ready for anything." "Right," Lucy said, forcing a smile. "I want to be ready." But the truth was, fear clutched her stomach. What if endless apologies weren't enough? Sinking onto a nearby bench, she picked at her nails, lost in thought. She needed answers, not just for herself but for those who had come to see her struggle. The stakes felt high, and failure echoed loudly in her mind. What if this backfire made things worse? In the midst of her self-doubt, her phone buzzed, startling her. It was a message from one of her friends, a video of a recent rally for equality. They were talking, chanting, voices rising in unified emotion. Lucy couldn't help but marvel at the people who could channel their anger into positive action. Could she spark a similar change? A wave of determination swelled within her. A gathering, she thought again. Perhaps that didn't have to be just a talking circle. Maybe if I reach out first, I can connect with her, she murmured to herself, feeling the embers of hope start to glow again. But what would she even say? Her heart tightened, knowing a mere apology wouldn't be sufficient. It would require vulnerability. Listening. A willingness to accept the anger that had been so well deserved. "Hey, are you coming?" Tessa's voice pulled her from her thoughts. "We're still heading to the cafe. You could come with us." "For comfort food?" Lucy scoffed, the slightest grin appearing. "Yeah, I could use a distraction. I just need to take a breather before diving in." As they walked together, a lingering tension remained. The cafe was cozy and warm, humming with conversation and laughter flowing freely through the air. Yet, it all felt different. The clamor of voices was a reminder of how easily joy could be overshadowed. They settled in a quiet corner, and Lucy stared into her cup, lost in steamy thoughts. The waitress could be anywhere. Would she still work at that cafe? Was she hurt beyond repair? Lucy felt a trickle of guilt run through her. She was just doing her job, she whispered, frustration creeping in anew. How could I have neglected that? "Lucy," Tessa's gentle tone cut through. "You're working through this, and that's important. Just take it one step at a time." Lucy exhaled, the weight on her shoulders feeling a fraction lighter. Her phone buzzed again, and with hesitant fingers, she checked. An account tagged her. A post about the very waitress she wanted to find. It detailed her story, the struggles, the hopes, and within the text, the power of sharing hurt. "Yes," Lucy whispered, her heart racing. "I think I found her." Before she could stop herself, she felt a surge of emotion. Hope, mixed with stubborn determination. This was her chance. But as she stood to leave, Tessa caught her wrist. "Lucy, what if she doesn't want to talk? If she shuts you out?" The question left Lucy breathless, spiraling again into uncertainty. Would she be prepared for that? But deep down, her desire to understand surged. "I guess I'll have to be okay with that," she said, meeting Tessa's gaze. "But I have to try. I owe her that much." A sense of resolve fueled her steps as she headed out of the cafe. With her heart set, Lucy knew she was about to step into unfamiliar territory. But would acceptance be waiting for her on the other side? Lucy stood outside the cafe, her heart racing with anticipation. The cool breeze brushed against her cheeks, but warmth radiated within her. She had to find the waitress, to speak to her and offer an apology that felt long overdue. Behind the mockery and the hurtful comments, she could feel a new sense of purpose emerging. It was time to set the record straight. Taking a deep breath, she opened her phone and returned to the post she'd discovered. The waitress's name was Isabella. It felt like magic unraveling the moment she read it. It was more than just a name. It was a connection, a way to acknowledge the person she had inadvertently harmed. Lucy's fingers trembled as she typed out a message of sincerity, mixing accountability with hope. "Hi Isabella. I'm Lucy, the girl from the videos. I want to sincerely apologize for how I treated you. I'd love a chance to hear your story and learn from my mistakes." Hit send. The seconds felt like hours. Anxiety surged, tightening her chest as uncertainty invaded her thoughts. What if Isabella didn't want to respond? What if her words were just another reminder of the ridicule that had pierced her dignity? Rallying her courage, Lucy took a step forward, leaving the cafe behind. She realized that waiting wasn't an option, she needed to act. This was her journey. As if the universe were listening, her phone chimed. With bated breath, she opened the notification. A reply. "Hi Lucy. I appreciate your message. It hurt when I saw the video, but I can see you want to make things right. Let's talk." Relief threaded through Lucy's veins like sunlight breaking through clouds. There was potential for healing. Over the next few days, excitement mixed with anxiety. They agreed to meet at a local park, where they could talk freely. On that day, the sun shone brightly, filtering through the leaves, as if nature itself celebrated this moment. Lucy arrived early, nerves bubbling like a pot on the boil. What could she say? Would Isabella embrace the opportunity? Or would she be met with anger and resentment? When Isabella arrived, Lucy's heart thudded in her chest. She was beautiful, her smile warm yet cautious. "Hi," she said softly, as they embraced. It felt real, a small step toward connection. As they sat on a bench, Lucy's voice trembled. "Thank you for coming. I want you to know how sorry I am for my actions. I fell into the trap of laughter without considering how it affected you." Isabella looked at her, a calm strength radiating in her expression. "What you said hurt. I'm proud of my heritage." Seeing that mockery felt like a denial of my identity. Lucy nodded, each word weighted with realization. "I am learning that it's not just about what we say but how it impacts others. I want to make amends, to truly educate myself." They talked for what felt like hours, stories shared, laughter exchanged as the walls of anger began to dissolve. Lucy wanted to know more about Isabella's life, her dreams, and her vibrant culture. In turn, Isabella appreciated Lucy's honesty and willingness to grow. When they parted, the air shimmered with a new understanding. Lucy felt lighter, empowered by the knowledge she could transform her pain into something beautiful. The next step was sharing their experience with the community. It wasn't over. It was now crystal clear this needed to ripple outwards. Weeks later, in the same park, Lucy organized a community gathering. She invited everyone she could, reaching out to those who had supported her and even those who had doubted her. As the sun dipped low, dozens of people gathered, colorful dishes laid across long tables, an array of cultures intertwined. Standing before them, Lucy's voice resonated with strength. "This gathering is not just a celebration of food, it's a testament to our stories, our struggles, and our resilience as a community. Together, we can rise above the hurt and create understanding." Applause erupted, and as Lucy looked out over the crowd, she spotted Isabella. Their eyes locked, a thread of solidarity weaving between them. In that moment, Lucy realized that the laughter that had once defined her journey now echoed with unity. The community began to share their voices, tales of heritage blending with laughter. There were moments of vulnerability, tears shed, and lessons learned. Lucy felt the power of connection, wrapping around her like a giant abrazo. That night, as the stars sparkled above, Lucy reflected on her journey. The mockery had seemingly defined her, but with courage, understanding, and community support, she had transformed anguish into growth. And as the last remnants of laughter filled the air, she realized that love and acceptance, the true heart of humanity, could conquer even the darkest shadow. As she left the park, her heart soared, knowing she had embraced her responsibility. This was just the beginning of her commitment to unity and compassion, and she wouldn't stop here. She would continue to learn, listen, and lead, and as the community celebrated, she made a silent vow to herself, to always stand for kindness, to heal others through food and understanding, and to never again forget the power of connection. This was not just her story, it was their story woven together, and stronger than ever. As this chapter closes, we invite you to continue this journey with us. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm's hunger for heartwarming content. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. Your voice matters. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to share the power of understanding.